Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. I'm thrilled to have you with us today. Our show is Books, Blogs, and Poetry, and we are welcoming back author Natasha Deen. We're going to bring out the star of our show, but first, I have a little promo for a book I'm reading. It's called 75 Hard. I'm not sure if you've heard of this before, but it's life-changing, and I am doing my second opportunity to get myself mentally into warrior stage. So I recommend this. Is by Andy Frisella, and it's all about a lifestyle change to become that warrior inside of you. Now let's welcome the star of our show, DIANN BOEHM, who also has a new book that she's going to talk a little bit about. Welcome, DIANN.
Thank you, Dr. JACALYN. We're going to go from warrior, getting our mind set to do all we can do, to the curious bunny. Boomer, the Curious Bunny hits the market in the ebook form on June 30th, and you can pre-order now. You can just go by my website or go straight to Amazon.com and pre-order, and you will have the ebook. Hardbook and paperback will soon follow. It's a really fun book, and I'll enjoy telling you more about it later because we have a great guest today.
Yes, we do. All right, DIANN, that's it. Your lips are sealed. No more information about the book.
Okay.
That was more of a question, but I know we have to keep everything under wraps. So,
no, I can talk about it. I just want to get on to our guests because it's polite.
Okay, fantastic. And our guest today was also referred to us by someone. You actually referred to our platform, and you know him well. Tell us a little bit about Mickey Mickelson.
Oh, Mickey Mickelson is incredible. He's my publicist, as well as Natasha that will be here. He goes way beyond Call of Duty, so to speak, to make sure that his clients get the word out and know about his clients. And he gets us all types of gigs, and I'm just so truly grateful. My books have really sales have improved because of him, but mostly what I love about him is he has a good heart. Thank you, Dr. JACALYN.
Thank you. Thanks, DIANN, and thanks, Mickey. So Natasha is joining us from Canada, and she was on our show, The Corner Bookstore, and really brought a lot of amazing insights. She's a children's and young adult book author, and she's also a writing instructor, and she's just come back from something really cool that I want to hear more about. So let's welcome Natasha Deen. Hello.
Hello, everyone. I'm very excited to be here, Dr. JACALYN. It's great to be back. I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, it always warms my heart when people come back, because I feel like we're doing something right, which is important. So I want to just dive right in and start with your passion for writing. And not only are you a published author, but you're also a writing instructor. And then you went to another country to actually work directly with students, which are children. So tell us a little bit about this.
Oh, well, I'm trying to think of where to start. So the writing, yes, I am a published author. I started in with adult writing, adult romance, and then transitioned down to kids and teens. And I think sort of globally, I have over 40 works published, from short stories and magazines and books, and I had a play produced, which was very cool. And yes, when I am not writing, I teach with the University of Toronto's SCS. I teach their online class as an introduction to writing for children, and I also do their mentorship course. And with the very cool thing that happened, I was invited by the United Nations International School, as well as British International School, Hanoi International School, and Delta Global School to travel to Hanoi for a couple of weeks and work with their students on creative writing. And it was a delight. I can't say enough about the schools and the students and just how warm and welcoming everyone was. And Hanoi, like if you ever get a chance to go to Hanoi, go. The people are amazing. The food is amazing. They will forever have my hearts because I was practicing throughout the entire 2 weeks how to say hello, thank you, and how are you in Vietnamese. And I could do hello, and I could do thank you. The how are you was terrible. But every time I'd say, am I saying it right? Am I getting it right? And they're, oh yes, you're so amazing. And I'm like, no, I can tell by the wince I'm getting it wrong. But the graciousness of the people there just sort of stays with me. Yeah.
I love that big smile on your face.
Mhm.
That's incredible. You know, and I think, and Diane knows all about this as well. I haven't had this experience, but when you are writing for children and you actually get to either read to them or engage with them, that's so different than putting it out there and not engaging with the children, which is what basically I've been doing. So, Diane, what are your thoughts about what it's like to engage directly with children? Because you've done it for years.
It's amazing. There is nothing like it. And congratulations, Natasha. I just want to say it's very difficult to be invited to schools in your own country, much less overseas. So very well done. And to be received and try the different languages, kudos for you. That says a lot. But yeah, being in front of children and watching the smiles on their face, or maybe not smiles, because, you know, depending on the story, they're like, did you catch that? Why is she laughing? You know,
so that's a great point. Natasha, did you find that there were things that really went over well with the children or things that didn't? And what I mean by that is one of our books was read to some children in London, and we have some longer names for some of the characters. And they were like, what? Testadora? What is that? So did you have any key learnings from being there on site?
Yes. Well, I think the biggest thing that you learn is slang is very different. So here we would talk about someone being a queen or a king, and I don't know that it wouldn't have worked. So we just talked about dudes and dudettes. So that was very interesting. But no, you know, I think universally, I think we're all the same, whether we're kids, teens, or adults, right? Like we want to be entertained. We want a book that's connecting with us, you know, wherever we are in terms of our mental and emotional development and wherever we are in our literacy development, you know, and Dr. JACALYN, you made a great point. Like when I'm writing for the littles, so the 6 to 9 year olds, or I'm writing for what we term striving readers, which are kids who are at a certain grade level, but their reading skills are a little bit below. So they might be in grade 6 reading at a grade 3 level. They might be in grade 12 reading at a grade 1 level. And so when I'm, you know, writing books for them and stories for them, I'm very conscious about word choice, names, how easy or difficult are things to pronounce, because, you know, you don't really think about things necessarily. Like in one of my books, Thicker Than Water, my main character's name was Zach, which is Z-A-C-H, which is, yeah, totally, that's grammatically correct. That's the correct spelling. And it was my editor who came back and said, hey, listen, that CH sound can be a K, but it can also be a Ch. So do you mind if we just change it to Z-A-C-K? And I was like, no, absolutely. Like whatever makes someone feel love when they read your books. Like, I think, yeah, that's what we do, right? Rule number 1. Respect your audience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a great point.
Speaking of which, Diane, I wanted to hear more about the bunny. We gotta.
That's so sweet of you. How kind. So Boomer the Curious Bunny, I really wanted to keep kids loving their imagination, putting the electronics down, because even a 2-year-old now has this iPhone in front of them, and I want them to go out and play. So I think Boomer, he is a little bunny that loves his family, but they're just so happy where they are, and he was kind of curious to see what's going down the path. And so he it goes and explores and discovers all kinds of things. And the other thing I wanted to accomplish in the story, from being a former educator, is especially children, they love repetition, little ones, as you know. And so they love recall. And it's really important as a teacher to help kids recall to build their comprehension. So in the story Going Back Home, Boomer has to recall, I saw this, I saw that, and it has a real rhythm to it. And so when you sing it, because I'm already singing it already, it's fun to do. So the teachers can have fun reading it as well, and as well as the loved ones. And Judy Gaudette is the illustrator, and she did a phenomenal job. So I'm really proud of it. And as you probably feel the same way, and Dr. JACALYN, every time you get a book, it's like birthing a baby, and you're so excited. And you're like, okay, no, I think this one's my best one, even though I really love A Time to Fly. But I just love this one too. So it's exciting.
Yep, I feel that.
Absolutely. And Natasha, you're also a writing instructor. And is it possible for us to undo bad habits when it comes to writing? Because I know I'm 60 now. I picked up some habits in writing that, I try to eliminate on a regular basis. But what have you found in teaching children or young adults, or you mentioned even adults you're working with initially? What's the difference there between the generations?
That's a great question. I think with adults, we tend to be more entrenched in our learning, right? So it takes us, because we've been doing this thing in a certain way, so it's really hard to like undo those things because they're just so wired in. And kids, like the cool thing with kids, and I think the cool thing with writers, adult writers, that I really love is that sense of curiosity and that sense of learning. So the idea that, I don't know everything yet. I want to learn this new way of doing things. I'm open to recognizing that this other thing may not have been the best way to do it. And it's one of the things like, when we're young and we're going through school, one of the things, and I see this a lot in like elementary schools, the teachers come and they say, and they teach the kids when they're doing the creative writing, said is dead. So the idea that, when you have these dialogue tags, you should have, more than just said. It should be replied and asked and, all these like great words, which is wonderful. But once we become adults and we're adult writers writing for adults, or we're adult writers writing for kids who are like 12 and up, said is not dead. Said is the word that we're going to use, because what we are doing with our older readers is they have a sense of, what's the word I'm thinking of, like literary sophistication. So they understand imagery and allegory and metaphor. So we can use other words to tell the story. We can use images to like bolster what is happening. Whereas with our littles, we want to use other dialogue tags occasionally, because that's how they learn vocabulary. And when we're coming at it from a writing perspective, again, that's how they learn vocabulary. So, it can be tricky to unlearn the grammar things. But I think the biggest thing, and I'm really curious what your opinions are from both of you, is the biggest thing we have to unlearn is the idea of excellence and perfection, so that we pursue excellence, but we do not pursue perfection, because perfection will paralyze us and perfection will get us nowhere. Whereas excellence is the best we can do in the moment. And then we let something go, knowing that a couple of years from now, we are going to grow as writers. And we will have written that story differently, but in the moment, this was the best we could do. And I think that's, and no fault of schools, but, we have curriculum and we have units and there's deadlines. And so we get tested. And I think all of us remember those like end of semester, end of year, English exams where you would walk in and you had like 2 or 3 hours and they were just, throwing this essay question at you and this creative writing question at you. And you had one chance to do your very best. And then that was it. You weren't going to get a redo. Well, the glorious thing about being a writer is you constantly get redos. And that's kind of the trick, I think, to being a successful writer, is understanding that it's not about getting it on the page. It's about getting it on the page and then reworking it, over and again, and having that patience to rework it until we get a product that we love and something that we think other people will love. But that's my experience. That's my opinion. So take that for what it's worth. The whole 10 pounds of salt.
No, they're great points. I want to chat about them. We do have a couple comments from LinkedIn from Sohel. Good. All right. Thank you for being here. And also on LinkedIn from Kamrul Hassan. Congratulations, Natasha Deen. Looking forward to diving into your book and experiencing the magic of your storytelling. Keep inspiring us with your words. How lovely.
Lovely.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
both.
being here. It's so nice. So I love what you shared about the excellence and the perfection piece. And I know how Diane's wired, and I know how I'm wired as well. And it's hard to let go of that. I mean, yesterday we had a book launch and there was a problem with the cover. And then it turns out the ebook came out yesterday and somebody found that there was a redundant word. And I was like, oh, I can't believe it, freaking out. Like I'm working all day. And I thought, I just have to let it go. I have to let it go. It's going to be okay. If someone wants to judge on that, as opposed to what the whole meaning is behind the book. And then we finally got the paperback straightened out last night. So anyway, it's a process, but I think we have to give ourselves some grace as well, because our intentions are heartfelt, and it is about providing education and key learning. And I think that's what we have to focus on. Do you agree?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And like life's going to be life, things are always going to happen. Things are always going to go sideways and go wrong. And it's just understanding that this is what it is. Like in 5 years, will it matter? In a month, will it matter? Probably not. And, we so worry about other people's judgments, but the person who's judging you that harshly for making a human mistake, is that person's judgment really worth internalizing? Because that's a level of rigidity that I don't know is necessarily helpful to anyone. And I think it speaks more to that person than it does to you, And I can remember like early on, before I was published, I was part of this writing group, and you had to bring pages, which is always nerve-wracking, especially when they're not done, right? But you're trying to hold yourself accountable. And this one person just like ripped into my pages and, this was wrong and this was wrong. And all I could think of was like, this is not even at all helpful. And then they said something about the sudden change in weather. When did the sudden, I had done such a terrible job. And I said, no, actually, you didn't read. If you go back like 3 pages, there's an indication that there's a change in weather. And then they were like, oh, well. And that's when I recognized that this person is not a good critique partner, because they're not there to actually help the other writers in the group. They were there to scour the words and find a reason that we weren't good enough and that, we were less than they were. And I just thought, yeah, okay, I can't, we're all part of the group, but I'm going to put any further feedback from you in the recycling bin where it belongs, because you're not coming at this from a good place. And if you're not coming from it, at it from a good place, then I don't have time for you, and I don't have the energy for it. Bandwidth, right? We don't have the bandwidth for it.
So I applaud what you just said. It's fantastic. Something I want to ask both of you about. We had somebody on the other day. She's a doctor and she specializes in mindset disruption. And she was talking about brain fog and talking about negative thoughts that literally, I think it's like 95% of all of our thoughts are a negative thought that came from a day before that. And we just hence why I'm wearing this rubber band so I can snap myself every time. But my point is, we as writers, as authors, we do feel that way, that what we're putting out isn't good enough, or maybe I have to redo it again, or maybe the publicist says this, or the publisher says that. So how do you deal with that, Natasha? How do you keep a positive mindset? And I know you just talked about people who are negative, but what about within you, your own, just you alone in a room, negative things come up for you, or you're really second guessing yourself?
Well, this is the joy of the internet. For all the things that the internet does that sets our hair on fire, I came across a tweet years ago that helped me out, and it said, if you are mad at everybody, eat something. If you think everybody is mad at you, go get some rest. And that helped a whole lot of negative thoughts, because I realized I'm a hangry person. Like, once I'm hungry, that's it. And those negative thoughts just will come railroading in. But the other side of it is really that, and especially as writers, like, we have to be so intrinsically motivated and validated, because it doesn't matter how great we are and what we do, there will still be someone who doesn't think it's good enough, doesn't think we've reached high enough. And the thing with Hanoi, I remember someone saying to me, "Oh my gosh, that's so amazing! Like, great things are really going to start coming your way." And I caught it because I thought, great things have already come my way. You know what I mean? Like, the idea that this bar has to be set higher. Like, I thank you for that opinion, but I'm just going to, like, set it down, because that's not helpful to me. I'm going to celebrate whatever the small accomplishments are, whatever the little things I get done are, and I think for us as creators, like, we understand this, right? There's times where you are sitting at the desk for hours and hours, and at the end of the day, you've got, like, maybe a paragraph, or you've got, like, a few pages, and then you come back the next day and you realize all that work you have to delete and start again. But if we celebrate the fact that we did something, if we celebrate the fact that we are expert enough to understand that this thing doesn't work, and we are showing our proficiency and our professionalism in deleting and starting again, like, how is that not amazing? How does that not offset that little voice that says, if you were good at this book would be done by now? And I think it's also, again, like, we're graded when we go through school, but the truth is, at the end of the day, when we're putting our books out, not everybody is going to enjoy our work. Not everybody is going to be our ideal reader. And if we're doing it right, not everybody is our ideal reader. Yes? I mean, like, this is what we want. We want people to either like or dislike our work, because if everybody likes it, have we really said anything? Have we really, like, done our job as artists, which is to, like, create conversation and to ask people to think about, like, themselves in relation to this thing that we've created, right? And one of the things I always say is, I can give everybody the same book, and not all of us read the same story, because we bring our own experiences, our fears, our failures, our hopes, our triumphs to all of it. And so it's helpful to remember that when we're writing, and when those bad thoughts come, is that our books are going to be, they're going to transform themselves into whatever that reader wants it to be, so that someone will read it and say, this is a cat, and someone else will read it and say, no, it's an elephant, and both of them are right.
Yes, I agree with you. Some really good points there. Diane, what do you think?
You took the words out of my mouth. Some really good points. 2 points that you stated in regards to celebrate each moment. And yes, there might be times that you'd, like, go, oh my gosh, I'm not going to use any of that stuff. But that's okay, because that means you were thinking of something and you came up with a different angle that the reader is going to enjoy more. And if you hadn't written all that, then you wouldn't have come up with that new way of direction of where to go. So I don't really think our listeners, let me know your thoughts, sometimes realize the pains that we go through in getting the story that we have in our mind out for them to enjoy. And the other thought was, you're right on when it's time to let go. And I like the quote that you said, because I'd probably go eat a lot of chocolate, but I'm going to remember that quote because sometimes, it's like when you get a headache, your mama says, you don't need to be popping some Tylenol. Just go to sleep. Your body will heal itself, So close the door, what those people said, and go take a nap and be refreshed, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Well said to all of it. Yeah.
It's so true. And I also feel like if we focus on that one person, it starts to get bigger and bigger because now we've internalized and it's like, oh, now I'm a failure, I'm a loser. I start questioning everything I'm doing instead of saying, okay, that's your opinion. Thank you. I appreciate it. But I'm going to focus on the people who are really my tribe, the people who are aligning with me and my work.
Well, yeah. And I think our imagination has to come in, our imagination and our, as writers, one of the things that we always want to be doing is reading, and not just reading in our genre for audiences, but we want to be, read everything in the library sort of thing. And so listeners you can correct me on this, but if I remember my biology correctly, at the back of our brain is the amygdala. And that's what sort of like encodes. And our amygdala loves us. Our amygdala wants us to survive. Our amygdala is the thing that when we walk into the glass door because we didn't see it, instead of just treating it as that's fine, this happens to everyone kind of thing, our amygdala is the one that treats it like we just got attacked by a saber-toothed tiger. And so, as we're walking along in our day later on, the amygdala is like, oh man, do you remember when you walked into that glass door? Wasn't that super embarrassing? Like, don't ever do that again. And it's sort of like, I always think of my brain sometimes as like the worried Nana, like just so concerned for my survival and my well-being that, it just sort of like natters at me. Do you remember that thing? Do you remember? Okay, don't do that thing. Do you remember that? Okay, don't do that thing. And so this is where I say our imagination can be so helpful, because when that's happening to me, what I do is I try to imagine that voice instead of like a monster alien voice. Instead, I imagine it as like a puppy or a kitten or a small child, or like Piglet from Winnie the Pooh, right? And I just imagine myself just hugging that thing, that kitty, that piglet, and just being like, you know what, it's okay. Yes, we walked into the wall. Yes, it was in front of the boss who was interviewing us for the new job. Yes, we spilled like coffee all over ourselves, and then we slipped on the coffee and we fell on our face. But you know what? That person is going to remember us. We will be unforgettable, whether we get that job or not. They will never forget us. So isn't that a cool thing? And so that sort of like sense of kindness, using our imagination to bring a sense of kindness and gentleness to our experiences and to our thoughts, instead of fighting them, right?
I love that. I'm back here laughing because what you just shared, it made me think I was on a sales call when I was in corporate, and I was all dressed up wearing these big heeled shoes, and I had my briefcase and all this stuff. And I was meeting with the senior vice president of this major global corporation. And he came to get me, and I was going up the stairs, and I literally tripped up the stairs. Everything flew all over the place. And I was lying my face like on the ground. And I thought, he's never going to forget me.
But the thing too with writing is readers love embarrassing stuff. They love humiliation, right? Like we love the pain moments of characters because we identify with that. So every time something embarrassing happens, I just think to myself, oh, this is great. This is going to come up in my writing. Like, look at me taking care of my future writing projects by being a total clown in the moment. This is wonderful. I'm such an expert.
It's true. It's another story, right? It's And speaking of that, I see you have a couple of your projects back there that if you would love to share them with our audience, maybe read us something.
Oh, for sure. So there's two. The Science and Wonders of Tuna Rashad is a young adult novel, and I love it because it's the funniest book I've ever written. She's super larger than life. She's an aspiring screenwriter, and before summer ends, she has to leave for college. Her big project is she's going to finally ask out Tristan, who she's sort of been in love with for the longest time. But the sort of cog in the wheel, is Tuna's big brother Robbie, who's just lost his husband in a really tragic, sudden way. And for the last year and a half, Robbie's just sort of been spiraling out on this grief. So she's trying to do like two things at once, right? She's trying to like help her brother, and in helping her brother navigate his grief, she's trying to navigate her own grief with David's loss, and then, you know, trying to date Tristan. And one of the things I love about this book is it really embraces my Caribbean heritage. And so Caribbean people, like when I was growing up, you know, you were taught that your ancestors, they watch over you and they're always looking out for you. And so you have to be aware of your surroundings, and that, you know, because they're going to send you signs, they're going to send you omens, they're going to send you messages to let you know that they're there. So there's a little bit of tricksiness about whether or not Tuna is actually communicating with you, if the ancestors are sending her signs to be like, girl, get it together, or if it's just her subconscious having fun with her. And the other one, so Spooky Sleuths, this is the fourth book in the series. And I love this book, well, this series, because it's a little bit like Stranger Things meets X-Files. So you've got Awesome and Rakshar, and they live in Seattle. And they live in this town that's a science-based town. So there's a big lab, and everybody's parents are some kind of scientists and running experiments. So there's always something bizarre happening. And every book tries to, you know, in book one, there's a tree that's growing at an enormously fast rate, and it's killing everything around it. And, you know, Rakshar thinks that this is just a science experiment gone wrong. Awesome thinks that, nope, this is one of the Caribbean monsters that has like come back. And so I love this series because it is STEM based. So it teaches a scientific method to young readers. They're very collaborative. Like you never see one person trying to prove they're right over somebody else. They're very supportive of each other. And the thing I really love, and from a writer's perspective, was a challenge of writing the stories so that at the end of it, there's no definitive answer given, that readers get to decide for themselves if something spooky or something science-y happened. And I won't read, because what I'd love to do is just showcase Lissy Marlin is the illustrator. And can I tell you how much I love her illustrations? And I'm looking for, there's her Scared Awesome is always like my favorite ones, because he's always got his knees crossed and he's like terrified. But she does these like really wonderful things at the end. So there's this amazing supplemental at the end where readers get to see notes from Rakshar's journal and from Awesome's journal. And Lissy does such a great job with the doodles and all these like extra little things that she adds in. And her illustrations are just like, they're so off the page, you know? So this is with Penguin Random House Young Readers, and this is with Running Press Kids. And I can't say enough about the publishers and just what an amazing job they did, and how much I loved working with the team. So thank you for the chance to spotlight two of my most recent books. I appreciate that.
Thank you. I really appreciate you for that. It's just so encouraging what you've done and what you're doing. And I'm wondering, when you think about the first thing that you wrote, what was that?
Oh, that was in university, and it was a romantic comedy where her best friend is a secretary who, I can't remember why she had to bail, but she convinces her to come in. And so it's the romance between her and the boss, and I can't remember any of their names. But I did read it a couple years ago, and I was like, there were some funny moments in here. Like I can see where the humor as a writer was coming in. And there was some, you know, a lot of points where I was like, yes, I can see how much I've grown as a writer.
That was going to be
we don't need that many explanation points, right?
So you've seen a gradual progress, which is amazing, right? That's what we want.
Yeah, I feel like I'm right in this, right? That the day that we don't see that growth in our writing is probably the day we should stop writing, because we probably stopped learning or challenging ourselves. I feel like that's the big thing with writing, is that we're always challenging ourselves to like go into new places and tell different kinds of stories.
I agree. Definitely. We are coming down to the end of our show. Diane, I'll go over to you for a final question before Natasha shares her contact information.
Um, it's not so much a question, but as I just want to reiterate, Natasha, what you stated in regards to, I love how you keep your audience that you're writing to in mind, and that you honor them in your word choice. That's so lovely. And also the fact that, we're all going to read it differently based on our experiences, whether it's a children's book, because a parent's going to take it in one way and the child's going to take it in another. And I think that's what makes you a good writer. And what you just shared with us, along with the illustrations, and you're so much fun to listen to. I was sitting back here thinking, this is why she's a good author, because I could listen to you talk all day. You're a great storyteller. So
Thank you.
it's not so much a question, but just a real compliment on how lovely it is to have you today.
Oh, well, I think it's a dynamic because I always enjoy visiting with Dr. JACALYN, and this was a lot of like, it's 8 o'clock where I'm at. So what a joyful way to start my morning with this like great conversation with great people. So I thank you.
You're welcome.
I did it with Diane said, and I love your voice. It's very soothing and calming. And it's kind of like, I don't know what the word is. It's sultry is the word that comes up, but I don't know.
My God!
Now you're thinking about children's books. So it's not the word I would think, but it's a beautiful voice, and you are an excellent storyteller.
Very much. I appreciate it. And to all the listeners and viewers, thank you so much for joining us. That was very kind of you. I appreciate the time you spent with me. So thank you.
Thank you. We do have 2 of your banners up, but before you go, I want to bring you back and share our screen and show your website, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, fantastic. So let's take a look at your website and tell me where I should go. I'm over here on the website.
So if you want to contact me, you can just hit the contact page there. And so I occasionally get asked to do like mentorships and bonus projects and consulting. I don't do anything like that. If people are interested in mentorship, they can go through the University of Toronto, who, by the way, has some amazing instructors. Like, I've signed up for classes there because the teaching is just so top notch. But that's where you contact me. And Rob Beering is my booking agent. So if people want to bring me in for things, they can contact me there too.
Fantastic. Let's just go over here and take a look at books. And here we have all of your beautiful work.
Yes, the Anti-Racist Kitchen is an anthology, and there's 21 different authors talking about like their experience with racism, but they have recipes. So there's like this giant, diverse cookbook of recipes, and it's aimed for like middle grade. So they're not going to be super complicated. So if you want like some amazing recipes for dinner or snacks, that's coming out in fall.
That's so exciting. Wow.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it because I can't wait to try some of the recipes. I'm all about food. If you have to, I'm all about food.
Wow, beautiful covers. And you mentioned 40?
Yeah, I think if you include like the adult stuff, which I don't have anymore. I took the rights back. I think I'm approaching 40 or over 40 because there's a few more books coming out in the next while. So, but I have to say, like, I try not to count, right? because then I think we become externally validated, or we start worrying about things we shouldn't. Like, I think, I can't remember if it was Diann who said it or you, Dr. JACALYN, about like being in the moment with the work you're concentrating on right now and just like loving that thing as the best thing ever. Like that's got to be your favorite because you're going to have to spend months or years on it, right? So yeah, I try not to count.
Yeah, I think that's smart. All right, Natasha Deen's website is her name, natashadeen.com, and it's DEEN.com. So thank you once again for being here. It was fabulous. Diann, I'm going to go over to you and have you share how people can reach you. We didn't run your sponsorships. We'll run them at the end here. So how can people reach out to you, Diann?
And thank you, Natasha, for being with us. Everyone, you can reach me at DIANNFLOYDBOEHM, DIANNFLOYDBOEHM.com. Be sure to sign up for my newsletter. And remember, Boomer, the Curious Bunny, you can get on the pre-order right now.
All right, Diane, we're going to have to update your banner. We're going to have 2 slots for you for all your information. So.
You're so cute.
All right, we're going to close out with some sponsorships, and then we'll be back right after this with stories of hope, inspiration, overcoming adversity with international award-winning mentor and book author Doug Lawrence. So stay tuned for that. Bye, everyone. Thanks, Natasha. Thanks, Diane. Bye.
Kapayapaan, kapayapaan, kapayapaan.
Diann Floyd Boehm's A Song of Peace tells the story of a young lad named Tommy whose fervent wish for peace on earth touches the hearts of his friends and family, spreads to his community, and eventually unites the whole world around making his dream of peace a reality for everyone. Sit down with the children in your life and share Tommy's amazing story of love and hope. Sing your own song of peace and invite the children to join you. Tommy's tale is more than just a story. It's a movement, and everyone's warmly welcome to take part.
Kapayapaan, 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 kapayapaan.
You'll find A Song of Peace, along with many other wonderful learning and enriching opportunities for children of all ages, at DiANNFLOYDBOEHM.com.
USA Global TV and Radio presents international award-winning author, speaker, educator, Diann Floyd Boehm.
I want to thank everybody for joining us today on this special edition of the Corner Bookstore, USA Global TV, and we're talking with the co-host of the Corner Bookstore, Diann Floyd Boehm today, who is herself an author of many books, not just children's books, but also books for adults. Diann, welcome to the Corner Bookstore.
Everyone should have their own library. Even children should start developing their library and know that what happens in a garden, it grows. And I want their library to grow. And never, ever get rid of a book, because what you might have enjoyed as a child reading and having lovely memories of your parents reading as you get older, you'll grow to cherish those books in another way. My specialty is to help people realize that we are all storytellers, and that if you have this yearning to get this story out, but you don't know how to get started, I want to be the person that you can come to, you can feel comfortable with. I'll learn your personality. We'll just go and have itty bitty baby steps, just like in my book, A Time to Fly. Before you know it, the young new author is ready to fly to and go to super professional coaches.
Diann's books are available now at DiANNFLOYDBOEHM.com. Charlie and the Tire Swing, How It Began. A Time to Fly. A Song of Peace. Rise, a Girl's Struggle for More. Harry the Camel. The Little Girl in the Moon. The Little Girl in the Moon, Moxie and Tycho Town. Moon League Adventures, The Serengeti.
And I'm saying, go for it.